Well, Michael, it seems like TV and film adaptations is all the rage in the video game industry right now. And as a fan of the Doom movie in 2006, I have to say I could not be happier. But we do have more interesting news in the name of Helldivers. Helldivers 2 director says that Arrowhead, they don't and shouldn't have final say on the Helldivers movie, but the developer is likely to be involved, keeping things faithful. And I think that's the kind of relationship you want. This comes from Mark Warren at VG247. Now, this says, about a week ago, we learned that Helldivers 2 is on the list of Sony-affiliated games getting film or anime adaptations, with the Horizon series and Ghost of Tsushima being the other two. Very exciting. A little bit more on that later. We have few details shared about this galactic war movie when it was revealed, but Helldivers 2 director John Pilestedt now says that some stuff about the Arrowhead's involvement in the project might look like, quote, "Hey, I've been dodging this question," the developer admitted in response to a social media user asking him if he was able to, quote, "confirm if Arrowhead will be involved with the production of the Helldivers movie to ensure the film stays faithful to the games." Pilestedt went on to explain, quote, "The short answer is yes. The long answer is that we'll see." Interesting. "We are not Hollywood people, and I don't know what it takes to make a movie, and therefore we don't and shouldn't have final say." That sounds quite logical, in my opinion, but I have to wonder how much can they really lean on Sony Pictures to really make sure that Helldivers stays Helldivers. The Johann Pilestedt is so self-aware that I can only imagine that's going to bleed into the movie.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to, it's that fine balance, right? But yeah, I think for something like Helldivers, right, you've got to lean on your source material because that's what makes Helldivers and not just another generic Army Man shooter, right? Because it is so self-aware what it's doing. There's so many jokes. I think the movie has a chance. Talked about this with Drew when this was first announced, right? This has a chance to either be really, really strong or, I'm gonna be honest, Scott, go down that Borderlands route where they try way too hard to lean into what makes the game good, and that just simply doesn't translate to film like it does when you're sitting in your house playing a game when you're trying to watch it with 15, 20 other people in a theater. So I'm curious. I'm hopeful they're keeping them around because that's been the big thing, right? It always feels like, Scott, when a video game thing flops, it's like, oh yeah, the showrunner never played the game. Oh, they didn't even involve the people who made the game. Those have usually been the bad instances. Halo. But we'll see if Helldivers can, break that curse.
Yeah, they have an interesting line to thread. Is this going to be Starship Troopers but really hammed up, or is it going to be kind of standing on its own? I'm really excited for this, and I think that Helldivers has some good potential, but there is a second edge to this. Sony Pictures being the tenuous link putting these together. We have Horizon Zero Dawn fans, and how they've described they want the Game of Thrones actor for a live-action Aloy, and I could not agree more. This comes from Rachel Fittis at Game Rant. Praised as being one of PlayStation's greatest adventures, it was only a matter of time before an adaptation of Horizon Zero Dawn would eventually make its way to the big screen. Now, with the news that Sony is finally turning the beloved game title into a movie, fans have been sharing who they want to play as the outcast and brave warrior Aloy, and it seems as though one of Game of Thrones stars is high on the list. We have, even though details on the Horizon Zero Dawn movie are currently non-existent, that hasn't stopped fans from wanting Rose Leslie to step into the shoes of the Nova brave warrior and the main protagonist of the Horizon series. It's certainly easy to see why fans would want Leslie to play Aloy, as the feisty Game of Thrones character bears a remarkable resemblance to Gorilla's character, even right down to her bow and arrow skills, which would come in very handy if the actor got the role due to how much archery action is actually in the game. That seems incredibly exciting for me. Do you have any opinion on that actress?
I mean, I think that'd be a great fit, 100%, right? You look at the screenshots and you're like, okay, was this just like this almost just like they were designed to play Aloy, right? So I'm definitely pumped for that. I'll be honest though, Scott, I don't know how I feel about a live action Horizon Zero Dawn, because for me, I think the interest would be the giant mechs, right? And that would be very hard to do if you're doing live action, right? Can you make it if you make them CGI, how they look, right? There's definitely some of those live action movies where they gotta do CGI and you're like, ooh, that's not doesn't transition well. So that would be my one thing, right? Like if this was easily like, hey, you know, like if Aloy was just fighting like a bad version of Aloy, we could just do all human actors. I think live action would be perfect. Well, you've got these giant machines involved, dinosaur-esque machines. How do you make sure the CGI isn't kind of wonky, kind of removes you from it? You're like, oh, that looks kind of jarring. So that's my only concern. Not about the actress. I just don't know if live action would translate well to Horizon unless it's done really, really well. And I'm skeptical.
It could go either way.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's... Well, I try and think of what happened with The Mandalorian and the kind of use of the Unreal Engine in the background there.
True.
I do have some hope, but you're right. There's a whole lot of mechanics we're going to have to show. Maybe we need to get Michael Bay in there, get the Transformers developer teams on there.
We don't need that many explosions.
Oh, that's a good point. Well, it is interesting to note, the Horizon Zero Dawn movie was once set to release on Netflix, but after many years of development, the showrunner Steve Blackman, the series didn't materialize, eventually announcing that it was canceled. Due to the movie only being in early development, there are no guesses when it will release. Eventually, we'll get a little bit more information on that, but I'm excited for one.